Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to Football Discussions. We're here with my next mock draft in this long mock draft series. Basically going to be making these hopefully weekly up until the draft. Kind of got lost with midterms happening this week, but regardless, let's get right into it, starting off with the number one overall pick. If the Bengals are picking here, I don't see them blowing this. I know anything can happen on draft day and anything can happen between now and free agency. But from the reports I'm hearing, it sounds like the Bengals are zeroing in on Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor wants him to come out to the Senior Bowl so they can work together a little before the draft. I don't see the Bengals going quarterback in free agency. It just wouldn't make sense because they do have the number one overall pick. But regardless, Joe Burrow has great accuracy, some of the best accuracy I've ever seen. The arm strength isn't the best in the class, but it's enough to get the job done. And his vision as a quarterback is the most amazing vision I've ever seen. The way he's able to read zones, find receivers downfield, and fit those balls into tight windows are really all NFL traits, and I think it's going to translate perfectly to the NFL. With the second overall pick, I have the Redskins getting Chase Young, the edge rusher out of Ohio State. This is also a no-brainer for, I feel like, the number two pick. And I feel like since Ohio State lost in the playoff and Chase didn't win, or obviously like he wasn't expected to win Heisman, but I feel like Chase has kind of like fallen off, not in the sense that he's falling down draft boards, but people aren't talking about his talent nearly as much as they once were. And, I mean, nothing's changed. He's still a fantastic edge rusher, still knows how to get to the quarterback. I think he's better than the Bosas. And I think whoever is picking at two definitely needs to consider Chase Young. He's just such a beast. And while the Redskins' defensive line might be even the strong suit of their team, some might call it, with guys like Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. But regardless, Chase Young is just such a beast that you can't miss this opportunity. So I like this pick a lot. With a third overall pick, last mock I had the Lions going with Jeff Okudah, great cornerback out of Ohio State, best cornerback in this class. But then I was reading some comments, and I kind of agreed with it because they were saying our secondary wasn't that bad last year. It was just the fact that we couldn't develop any pass rush. So the quarterback had like 10 years to throw it, and obviously is going to find windows. And that made sense to me. And then I looked up some next gen stats. And the Lions were actually last in the league in terms of pocket time for quarterbacks. So that means the time that the quarterback drops back and is waiting to throw the ball. When they played the Lions, they had the most amount of time. So it makes sense that you go interior defensive lineman to help you with not only run stopping, but this guy is a great pass rusher, very versatile, very athletic for his size, and Derrick Brown is going to be a great fit in Detroit. With a fourth overall pick, I flip-flopped on this Giants pick a lot. With Jeff Okudah here and their secondary being so atrocious last year, you could even consider him, although I think he's kind of a wild card. Andrew Thomas, Jedrick Wills are both candidates here. The Giants obviously need offensive tackle. Their line was atrocious last year. And then you could also go with Isaiah Simmons, who's a beast of a linebacker out of Clemson, very good in pass coverage, something that the Giants linebackers are terrible at. I don't care that Alec Ogletree had a couple of picks one season. He still sucks in coverage. So I think Andrew Thomas is going to be the pick here as of right now. And listen, in free agency, the Giants could go get a tackle and then go Simmons. They could go get a linebacker and then go Thomas. Or they might just have to decide between these two guys, and that's a very tough decision because they're both talented players. But I think right now you're looking at your franchise, you're trying to build around Daniel Jones, and the first priority there is protecting him. So I think Andrew Thomas is a good pick for the Giants. With the fifth overall pick, and I know this pisses people off every time I do this, but it's happening. If you're rebuilding your franchise, the quarterback is the most important position. So why on earth would you not solidify your quarterback with your first pick in the draft? Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback out of Alabama, is a great quarterback. He's pro-ready. Yeah, he has an injury, but he's already healing faster than expected. He's going to be able to have some throw rounds before the draft is looking like. And I mean, the tape is all there. He still has a great arm, great accuracy, and I really like him a lot. And like I was saying, if you're building your franchise, you have to get your franchise quarterback because it is a quarterback's league, and Tua Tagovailoa is more than worthy of this fifth pick for the Dolphins. With the sixth overall pick, and I know Chargers fans hate to see this, but it's hard for me to go in any other direction. Yeah, you could go tackle, but who's your tackle protecting? Tyrod Taylor. It seems like the Chargers and Phillip Rivers have mutually agreed to kind of like part ways here. After the season, Phillip Rivers has already moved his family to Florida. I'm not saying that implies that he's going to go to a Florida team, maybe the Buccaneers out there. But regardless, it seems like he's moved on from the Chargers organization, which leaves me to believe that the Chargers have to go quarterback here. Justin Herbert out of Oregon has probably the strongest arm in this class. You could rival Jordan Love with that. But Herbert is raw. He's not the best. He's not the best with his decisions. His accuracy isn't fantastic. And he's going to be a project for the Chargers. And if they are willing to wait and, kind of work with him, help him develop into a quarterback, an NFL-ready quarterback, then I feel like he could have a great career, but he is not going to be NFL-ready once he goes to the organization, in my opinion. With the 7th overall pick, we saw earlier in the week Luke Kuechly retired from the NFL, only 28 years old. A devastating loss as an NFL fan. He was just such a beast, so good at really every aspect of his position. And someone else that brings that is Isaiah Simmons. Now, the Panthers could go Jeff Okudah, who's still on the board here, which is shocking because he's fantastic. But Simmons is a beast, and the Panthers need to fill that linebacker position now. And Simmons is not only a great run stopper and a hard hitter, he's great in coverage, played safety a little at Clemson. He even lines up at nickel cornerback sometimes, so he's very versatile, brings a lot of energy to the field, and is, like I said, he's a great run stopper too. So he can really replace Luke Kuechly in a big way, and I think it's an important get for the Panthers. With the 8th overall pick, I could see the Cardinals going offensive tackle here to protect Kyler Murray, but like I said in past picks, I do believe Cliff Kingsbury is just going to get a little too excited about this and the ability to pair up CeeDee Lamb with Kyler Murray. They already have that chemistry. In my opinion, I do believe Jerry Jeudy is a little better than CeeDee Lamb, but you can flip a coin and go either way with those two guys. They're fantastic wide receivers. Both have their strengths. Jerry Jeudy is more of the route runner, while CeeDee Lamb is more of the big play receiver, goes up and gets the ball, has that rack ability. Not to say that Jerry Jeudy doesn't, but Lamb has it a little more. Regardless, CeeDee Lamb, Kyler Murray, the duo is back this time. Instead of Norman, Oklahoma, it is going to be Arizona. So I just feel like it's the best fit right now for the Cardinals. With the 9th overall pick, and this is going to be a steal for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jeff Okudah, cornerback out of Ohio State. Great ball skills, great in man coverage, great in zone coverage. Nothing else I can really say about him. Just a super talented cornerback, knows how to go up and track the football, break up passes. He's just really athletic. Very, very good. And I saw an insane stat yesterday that said Jeff Okudah in 2018 and 2019 had 610 coverage snaps, which means the ball was thrown on a play 610 times, and he allowed a touchdown once in those two plays. In those 610 plays, I don't really know how else to put it, but he's just so good. And I think he's even a little better than Denzel Ward, who's already translating into a great NFL cornerback. So I think the Jags are going to get a huge, huge steal here to replace Jalen Ramsey, and it's going to work out very well for Jacksonville. With the 10th overall pick, Andrew Thomas, to me, is still the best tackle in this class, and we saw the Giants take him a little early on. But I can't see the Browns going any other direction than offensive tackle. And Jedrick Wills is very good. Played right tackle at Alabama, so he's not that like blindside per se, but still a great pass blocker. Not a bad run blocker either. Very strong, and he's actually pretty athletic too. So I think he brings something new to the table in Cleveland. Protects Baker a little better, and Baker's problems I feel like came a lot from the fact that he was under pressure a lot, didn't have the most time to throw, and that led him to make rash decisions. Not to say that he didn't have like a bad season, because he did, but I think it wasn't all his fault, and protecting him must be the number one priority in Cleveland, and Jedrick Wills can be that guy. With the 11th overall pick, now Jerry Jeudy is still on the board, and the Jets are probably foaming at the mouth for Jerry Jeudy, and they're going to be disappointed that Wills and Thomas are both already off the board. But when it comes down to it, I've said this a lot in this video. It is a quarterback league. You must protect the quarterback. Your wide receiver situation is bad, yes, but this is a very deep class at that position. You could go out, get a first-round talent in any other draft in the second round if you're the Jets, whether it's like guys like Michael Pittman, you could go Colin Johnson, Tyler Johnson, Jalen Reagor if he's there in the second round. There's just going to be so many players that are so good in the second round. And when it comes down to it, like I was saying, you have to protect the quarterback. Tristan Wirfs is a fantastic tackle out of Iowa, very strong. Another guy who's athletic as well. So I think it really is going to make the difference in New York to bring in a guy that can help out Sam Darnold. With the 12th overall pick, and I'm sure the Raiders will be very happy with this, they're going to get their wide receiver of the future, Jerry Jeudy. Derek Carr has had his fair share of problems over the years, and that, I mean, I guess you could attribute that to his lack of targets, but he's still not the best quarterback. So I've seen quarterback here. It doesn't really make all that much sense to me. Why not get Derek Carr, someone he can throw the ball to consistently? Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama, like I was saying, fantastic route runner, best route runner I've ever seen out of college, very fast, and also is able to, make a move downfield and you have that big playability, which is something that the Raiders desperately need, I feel like. And Jerry Jeudy is fantastic, and it's a good pick for Las Vegas. With the 13th overall pick now, I've been doing a lot of thinking specifically on this pick because the Colts are in such a weird spot right now because Javon Kinlaw is a little of a reach here, but interior defensive line is such a need for the Colts, so why not go for it? I mean, you could go quarter. I don't like Jordan Love. Now, he has a super good arm, but he threw 20 touchdowns in 17 interceptions last year. So, like, when people grade him as a first-round quarterback, a guy coming off a 17 interception season with only 20 touchdowns just doesn't feel right to me. And look, I know he's at Utah State, and I know he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. And in that sophomore campaign, he did have a ton of talent around him, and he looked very good. But I just don't see him as a first-round talent here. And I know the Colts seem to like him, but I think you have to get your interior defensive lineman first. And you pick at number 2, I believe, in the second round. So I like Jordan Love will most likely be available then. So I say don't reach on Jordan Love now. Go Javon Kinlaw, great run stopper out of South Carolina. Also has the ability to get to the passer, very versatile. And I think Kinlaw is going to be the pick here. With the 14th overall pick, the Buccaneers could go cornerback. The Buccaneers could go running back. The Buccaneers could go safety. The Buccaneers could go quarterback. There's a lot of stuff that could happen here. But I think Grant Delpit solidified his greatness in that national championship game. Got a sack very early in the game. Made a bunch of great tackles. Forced the game-winning fumble. Showed his range a lot. He's able to get from one side of the field to the other. And Fulton was getting burned that entire game, which is why it looked like Delpit wasn't playing well. But Delpit literally had to go wherever Fulton was. So I think he still solidified himself as a great safety, best safety in this class. And the Buccaneers need one desperately. And Grant Delpit, like I was saying, is super good. So I think it's a good fit. With a 15th overall pick, I have the Broncos going Henry Ruggs, the wide receiver out of Alabama. Now you have Courtland Sutton, who is a Pro Bowler, just got announced to the Pro Bowl last week. Super talented, great big play receiver, is going to be a stud in the league for years to come. And now 3 tackles are off the board, so I don't see them reaching on one. And the other thing is you only have one good wide receiver right now if you're the Denver Broncos, and Courtland Sutton is, like I said, is very good, but Henry Ruggs brings that ability to go under the field, go on those slot routes, go on those drag routes, which enables Courtland Sutton to maybe have the linebackers come down, cover Ruggs, and get Courtland Sutton in one-on-one. Or if everyone's playing up on Courtland Sutton, then Henry Ruggs is going to be wide open. Not to mention Henry Ruggs also has speed burners and can go down all the way down the field, make great catches deep. So I think Ruggs is a very versatile player that brings a lot of greatness to Denver. With the 16th overall pick, I have the edge rusher, AJ Epineza out of Iowa. Another good pass rusher in this class, not nearly as good as Chase Young, but still super talented, very strong, very fast. Played lights out in his bowl game, I believe, versus USC. And I think he's just a stud. His stock is kind of falling, but he's also a great run stopper. So I think Epineza brings something to the table that the Falcons need, and I like this pick a lot. With the 17th overall pick, it appears that the odd man out in Dallas is going to be Byron Jones, which means their cornerback room is going to be needy of a very good cornerback. And C.J. Henderson kind of fell out of the first round early in the season due to his inability to tackle. And while it is still a major concern of mine, he is still a blanket in coverage. Super good in all facets of the coverage game. Great ball skills. And really just, like I said, he's a wet blanket, and the Cowboys are going to need that once Byron Jones departs. So I think CJ Anderson's a good fit in Dallas. With the 18th overall pick, I have the Miami Dolphins going K'Lavon Chaisson, the edge rusher out of LSU. Another beast here. And, I like this pick for his athletic ability because he is super athletic, super quick, and he's a little raw. His technique isn't great. His hands aren't great, but that can all be worked on. And since he has such a unique speed and athletic ability coming off that edge, I think that's going to be a really good starting point for him in the NFL. And once he has good coaches around him, works on getting his technique down, I think K'Lavon Chaisson can develop into one of the premier edge rushers of today's game. With the 19th overall pick, I have the Raiders going Kristian Fulton, cornerback out of LSU. Mentioned that he got burned in the national championship game. Really got toasted by he started on Tee Higgins. Tee Higgins was toasting him until he got hurt. And then he went over to Justin Ross, and Justin Ross toasted him. So Fulton did not look very good versus two of the best wide receivers in the country. But regardless, he still had a great season. More of a zone type in my opinion, but it's still not bad at man, and I think it's a good pick for the Raiders. With the 20th overall pick, now we saw the Jaguars get cornerback Jeff Okudah in this scenario, and wide receiver is still a need. You could go Laviska Shenault, you could go Tee Higgins, but to me, I think Kenneth Murray is going to be the pick here. Telvin Smith is a question mark. And you do have Myles Jack, who's a very good pass coverage linebacker, also a good run stopper. But I think Kenneth Murray on the other side of him brings something that Myles Jack doesn't, and that's that physicalness, that toughness, and that speed. Myles Jack is fast, but I mean the whole hitting speed that Kenneth Murray has to be able to break up plays, wreck plays, is really unique, and he's an overall beast. And I like this pick a lot for the Jags. With the 21st overall pick. Now, to me, I do believe Justin Jefferson's a little better, in my opinion, than Laviska Shenault. And Shenault didn't have the best season, and I blame Colorado because they used him as more of a decoy than anything else, where they would just like throw him out wide and let him run like a dinky route and have like three guys all over him to enable the rest of the receivers to get open. And it really wasn't until like week 7 where they started passing it to Laviska more. So he didn't have a great statistical season, but he's still a beast. Very fast. He's a great route runner, but also I think he's kind of a worse, but a mix of CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, where he has that unique route running ability, but also, plays big and can go up and get the ball. So he's kind of a very well-rounded wide receiver, just not – those traits just aren't as good per se as some of the other receivers in this class. But I think he's going to be a good fit in Philly. With the 22nd overall pick, Tee Higgins to the Buffalo Bills makes sense. The Bills need a wide receiver. John Brown is getting up there in age. Cole Beasley is getting up there in age. And Tee Higgins brings some youth to this team, brings some great explosiveness. And that's really what he is. He's an explosive player, cuts open the defense, and I think he's going to be a very good player for Josh Allen. Get a consistent receiver. Not that John Brown wasn't consistent, had a fantastic season, but a consistent receiver too that can help not only take the load off John Brown, but help Josh Allen see the field a little better. With the 23rd overall pick, I have the Patriots going edge rusher Curtis Weaver out of Boise State. Great freshman year, great sophomore year. His junior year was also fantastic this season. I think he got second in sacks, but very, very good. And I know he plays in the Mountain West, which, doesn't have the best offensive line, but we've seen great edge rushers from group of 5 conferences before. So I think Curtis Weaver has great intangibles and is going to be a good fit in New England. With the 24th overall pick, I'm having the Louisiana boys stay local. Justin Jefferson going to New Orleans Saints. Great receiver, takes the load off Michael Thomas. Fantastic in the slot. A perfect route runner, and I like him a lot. Has that swagger. 2-star recruit out of high school, very under recruited, and then just exploded onto the scene in an NFL style offense this year in LSU. And I think he'll continue to do very well in the system that Joe Brady put in New Orleans. So I like this pick a lot for the Saints. With the 25th overall pick, another pick kind of like the last one where we had Jefferson staying local. This one is Trevon Diggs going to Stefon Diggs' team. The brothers are going to be playing together in Minnesota. Diggs is a very tall and big physical cornerback. Not the fastest, which might be like a knock on his ability, but he's still very good, very talented, great ball skills, more of a boundary guy, and I think he's going to be a good fit in Minnesota. With the 26th overall pick, I have the Dolphins getting their tackle of the future, Mekhi Becton. I know I botched that. And I've seen running back here, but Becton is almost too good to pass up on. Very strong, very big. I think he's like 375 pounds and like 6'7", just a beast, huge, very talented. Pass blocking is kind of just since he's so big, the stamina isn't all there, but like run blocking, vice versa. Run blocking is kind of a question mark, but he's a very good pass blocker. And I think it's going to be a good fit in Miami. They lose Laramie Tunsil to the Texans trade, and that enabled them to get 3 first-round picks here. So why not replace him with a very good tackle in Mekhi Becton? And running back, is a position of need, but there's not a lot of teams that are going to go first-round running back, if any. So you could get one of those top 3 guys now that ETN is out of the race due to the fact that he's staying in Clemson for one more season. You could get DeAndre Swift. You could get Jonathan Taylor. You could get, of course, I'm blanking on the last one, J.K. Dobbins. There we go. All in the second round where you pick early. So I don't think it's time to reach on a running back yet. Mekhi Becton is a fantastic tackle, and it makes sense for the Dolphins. 27th overall pick, this one's simple. Edge rusher is a need for the Seahawks, but Tyler Biadasz is a great interior offensive lineman from Wisconsin, in my opinion, and the Seahawks need help opening run lanes. He's also a good pass blocker, so and he can play guard or center, very versatile, so I like this pick for the Seahawks. 28th overall pick, Ravens could go wide receiver, but Yetur Gross-Matos, edge rusher out of Penn State. Yeah, he's small. Yeah, he doesn't look big yet. He doesn't look fast. But I was saying this to my friend the other day. He reminds me of Devin Singletary, where he's not the strongest and he's not the fastest at all. But when he's on the field, something clicks and he's just better. And I think Yetur Gross-Matos is like that a lot. He doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the speed. But when he lines up and the snap is called, he looks extremely fast. He looks extremely strong. And I think that can bring some versatility to the table for Baltimore. You go alongside Matthew Judon at that edge rusher position. So I think it's a good fit for the Ravens. The 29th overall pick. This is kind of a reach, but I don't really know else what to do. They could go interior offensive lineman, but Tyler Biadasz is already off the board. Do you want to reach on one of the next interior offensive linemen? Maybe. They could go edge rusher, or they could go quarterback. Maybe. Tannehill seems like he's going to be sticking around in Tennessee for a little longer. But Julian Okwara is a great edge rusher from Notre Dame. Second round talent in my opinion, but I think he's just due to the scenario, he has to squeeze into the first round and knows how to get after the quarterback. Not a bad run stopper either. With a 30th overall pick, Jalen Reagor to the Packers, another pick that's kind of just a fit at this point. A lot of the best receivers are off the board. Jalen Reagor is another second round talent in my opinion, but the Packers need a wide receiver. They could go linebacker, but Kenneth Murray and Simmons are off the board, so maybe you reach on Patrick Queen from LSU, but I doubt it. And Reagor just makes sense here. With a 31st overall pick, my first running back off the board is Jonathan Taylor. These three guys, you could flip a coin, like I said about Jeudy and CeeDee, and you could tell me either one was better than the other, and I would hear out your argument because it's valid. And I'm talking about DeAndre, Jonathan, and JK here. But to me, Jonathan Taylor is far and away the best running back in this class, and the Chiefs desperately need a running back. Yeah, they could go cornerback, but is there really a first-round talent left? No, in my opinion. So I think Jonathan Taylor is the fit here for the Chiefs. With the 32nd overall pick, we have Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama. This one's kind of simple. The 49ers need a safety, and Xavier is most definitely a first-round safety. So it's just a good fit. The secondary, if there is a weak point, it is the secondary on the 49ers. So I think it just makes sense for them to go Xavier here. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's NFL mock draft. I'm sure all of you have very strong opinions on what your teams want to do, so please leave your comments down below. If you want to see more mock drafts, subscribe. My next mock draft is going to be a 2-rounder, so stay tuned for that. And take it easy, guys. Peace.